As you guys know, or most of you know, I film things a little bit sporadically. I typically try to film the garden tours a week before they actually come out. So each Saturday I will film the garden tour. I'll give myself a week to edit because I'm a mom of 5 and I'm really busy, and sometimes I can't get to editing until later in the week. And so that's my schedule, but a week behind on all the videos. And I'm out here filming today, but I wanted to let you know it's my birthday today. So I'm going to include this little clip in the garden tour that you're seeing today. It's my birthday. I turned 35 and I'm really excited. Being in your 30s is absolutely awesome. I remember being younger and being like, oh, 30 is old. Not even close. So just wanted to share that with you. Good morning, guys. What's up? I'm Natasha. This is the kitchen garden at Shepherding Peppers Farm, and it is time for another weekly garden tour. It is as early as I could get out here today, and ideally I'd like to harvest as much as I can and get it preserved or on the menu for dinner this week. I haven't been able to get out to the garden as much as I typically would because there's so much construction going on around our house right now, and as such it limits my filming abilities to when I have good microphone communication with the camera. Even right now I feel like I'm kind of obsessively looking at my mic like, okay, I can't have the mic go wonky on me because today is the one day I get to come out and do the garden tour. So that's what we're doing. If you are new to the channel, we are growing here in Horry County, South Carolina, growing zone 8B. We are growing in raised beds in this particular garden. The majority of them are stone. The ones that you're looking at right now are wood. We will transition to the rest of the wood ones being stone in the fall. And this is my favorite place in the entire world. Typically, I start you guys off more towards the front of the garden, which I consider close to the house, and today we're going to start you more towards the back just to switch it up. So this entire bed right here is full of different pumpkins. I am going to look through it just to see if we have any little baby pumpkins growing, but I'm not going to rummage through it too hard. We have lots of squash blooms. Squash blooms are great. A lot of people choose to take their squash blossoms and stuff them and fry them, and they are very good that way. So that's a pretty great start. Let's see, we're getting little babies down here. I anticipate the squash fully spilling out onto the ground and taking over this area, not really mowing it as much. So the beds are a little compacted. There's a lot of different squash plants in here. The recommendation is not to plant them as closely as I did. In raised bed gardening, they typically say give your squash plants, your big viners like pumpkin, about 2 square feet with the anticipation that they will sprawl or be trellised, something of that nature. If you're not going to do any sort of trellising or allowing it to sprawl and spill out, they do say, minimum of 4 feet because they do have such a wide spread. This bed was overplanted for 2 reasons. One, I had intended on allowing the squash to come down and take over the ground area. I was good with that. And 2, because we struggle year after year with vine borers and squash bugs. Because of that, I way overcrowded the bed, anticipating a decent amount of loss. So my hope is that we get an okay harvest. These are winter squash, so things like pumpkins, things that store, whereas your summer squash is something like a zucchini or a crookneck yellow squash, something that's pretty quick. Those squashes, I can go ahead and I can succession sow them throughout the summer and still get an okay harvest, even while combating the bugs. But it's very difficult for us to grow pumpkins out here because of the amount of pest damage that we do get. And since we are growing as organically as possible, I don't put things down to kill the pests because it does affect the pollinators. Even the ones that are marked safe for pollinators, they do have some effect on them. Studies have shown that, especially in recent years. So I really try to limit what I'm putting down on my garden. I'm really obsessive with this mic today. On each of these beds back here, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So since there are 18 of these raised beds, and they are very expertly named 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 18, right here I am looking at four arches, and they all have different things planted on them. These right here, these are Chinese noodle beans. I am contending with a lot of grass in these beds. I have not come out and weeded the garden. This is on my to-do list for next week, is to attack the grass. I did it not very long ago. I can see just leaving it alone for any extended period of time, the grass just takes off in here. So the beds do need to be weeded. I am adding that to the to-do list for this week. Oh, this grass is just the worst. It's really hard not to pull it the second I see it because it's just obnoxious. Now right here on this second arch trellis, these are Blue Lake pole beans that are starting to climb and grow, which is great. And then these leaves that you're seeing down here that have this purplish tint, there is a ton of sweet potatoes in this bed. My intention was to have our pumpkins in this bed, sweet potatoes in this one, regular potatoes over here, and then our peanuts in this bed, but Seth took it over for corn, which is fine. Now, in addition to the sweet potatoes, there is kale in here that we are still harvesting. They haven't gotten too terribly bitter yet. It has held up against the bolting rather well. So we're still harvesting the kale. Now, I will harvest the kale when it gets bitter, but mostly for the purpose of making, the word is, it's not charcuterie, it's crudité. So when you make like a crudité platter with the veggies and everything, sometimes I will use kale leaves that are from bolted plants and they're a little bit more on the bitter side, just as like some green filler on the plate because it makes it look really lovely and it continues to have a purpose for me. Other than that, primarily I use kale in salads. I know you can make them into kale chips and other things like that. I don't particularly enjoy those. I don't feel like they taste super great. For me, a chip is always going to be a chip. I can handle a sweet potato chip, but I'm not a kale chip person. But that is an option. If you have an abundance of kale, you can do that. These right in through here, these are slippery silk pole beans. So this is a drying bean, a drying red bean. I haven't done black beans in the garden this year because we have a ton currently, but I may try to find a space in the garden after the other beans are cleared out to put black beans in, because we do grow and harvest our own black beans and white beans when we can. That's what those are. And then this right here is some green leafy lettuce. I'm going to harvest this because it just looks really nice and I don't anticipate it lasting too much longer without bolting. The entire time I turn the camera around, I'm just pulling weights. I've got to get it in check. And then these plants that you're seeing here and here, these are tomatillos. And then this is another little batch of Chinese noodle beans that I mistakenly planted in this bed. When we come around, you're going to see a lot more of these vines. Eventually, the sweet potatoes are going to just take over and cover the whole bed, which was partially the intention because I was hoping it would choke out some of this grass. Because these back beds, these back 4 are my worst beds for grass. And over here, this is blanket flower. This was a volunteer. Blanket flower, when it goes to seed, looks kind of like this. And these can be a little bit pokey, but this isn't dried out enough to really show you. But all of these are seeds, and like a dandelion, it will fly on the wind. And so I had it up in the very front, and it made it all the way back here. More sweet potato vines, and I'm going to redirect these into the bed. I want the sweet potatoes to choke out the grass as much as possible. Then you can see we do have a couple of random squash plants in here. So it's kind of a mixed bag this year, and I'm okay with that. If we get a little bit further down, see, like this is grass that's trying to grow to seed. I can't have that. That's over the line. Any seeding grass has got to go. Let's not make the situation worse. All right. So over here you can see we have a broccoli that has bolted, gone to seed, and once these little pods right here finish growing, they dry out, they turn brown, we can harvest these seeds from our broccoli and have broccoli seeds for next fall. And this is the remainder of the kale. And through here, there's a bunch of different types. There is red Russian kale, there is curly kale, dino kale. So there's a whole bunch of different types of kale in through here. Now, when the kale does eventually go to seed, I will be saving seeds for that as well. Kale makes really great edible winter landscaping. My sheep hear me, so they're going to come running and begging for treats. But yeah, the grass in these back beds are just terrible. Awful. think that's the only thing really from this bed, unless I wanted to harvest that volunteer zinnia, which I may do, because if you harvest your zinnias frequently and low, they will continue to grow and put off new blooms for you. So I do try to harvest the zinnias quite frequently, but I'm going to need to go get a little vase full of water. All right, so I was just thinking about this as I walked back to get my base of water. The fact that I'm wearing a white dress, so I'm consciously trying to make an effort to not wipe my hands on my dress, because typically it's all fair game and I'll wear shorts that I work in and just wipe my hands on my shorts. And I just said in last week's garden tour, I don't wear white in the garden because I get everything dirty. But if you're a woman, you will understand the excitement you get over a really cute new summer dress that you get. And you're like, oh, I'm so excited to wear my new dress. I just didn't even think about it. I was like, I'm gonna wear my new dress. And I'm trying really hard not to get it dirty, so. Vase, flower, we're good. I'm also going to come down here and just grab some of that blanket flower just because it looks really lovely. You're worse than my own children, you beggars. Alrighty, so nice little start for today. Now I'm going to come back up here to the front and hopefully the sheep will leave me be. I may come back and harvest the kale. I can't remember how much I have inside, and I don't want to take a bunch more in if we don't actually need it. So we'll just have to see. Now this is one of several melon beds right in through here. There's a bunch of different types, and this bed again does need to be weeded. It is kind of contending with some very small artichoke plants over here. We're just gonna have to see how they manage being this close to all of these melons. This year's garden theme is survival of the fittest, and I'm okay with that. So at this point, because this is so full, I am not gonna worry too much about exactly where things are, but I do know for the most part what is in each area. So I'm going to list it to you instead of searching for the labels. Now over and through here, we have some collective farm woman melons. We have some sweet passion cantaloupes, some honeydews. We have harimadews, I'm pretty sure. And then this little batch right here, these are all vine peaches. I've talked about my love for vine peaches quite excessively. If you're new to the channel, we do have fruit trees on the property. We have apple trees, pomegranate trees, we've got blueberry bushes and peach trees, and our apple trees are still very young. But I love to cook. I've talked about this, like my passions, my family, cooking in the garden, and you know, the Lord, obviously, that's kind of a given. When you're trying to grow a bunch of things from your own home garden and you're trying to preserve a lot of things, fruit trees are a great benefit because they produce a lot of fruit. When you don't have them, it kind of stinks because fruit and vegetables, especially organic ones, can get quite expensive. Well, vine peaches are great because they are a wonderful green apple substitute. So they're these tiny yellow melons that you're not going to eat like a traditional melon. They're not super sweet like a cantaloupe or a watermelon. They've got a tough texture to them, not tough like too hard to chew, but like an apple, they're crisp and they're not super sweet. And this is the only melon that I've ever heard of that you can actually can. So that is what we grow them for. We grow vine peaches with the purpose of peeling them, seeding them, canning them, and then using those vine peaches as an apple substitute all throughout the year as an alternative to making a traditional Granny Apple Smith apple pie. We make a vine peach apple pie and it is awesome. We've taken it to church events, family functions, gatherings with friends, and no one's ever known the difference because they taste so similar. They're not very sweet, so they really absorb the flavors of the dish that you're cooking them with, and they're fabulous. So I love vine peaches. I will probably grow them forever, at least until our apple trees start producing, which seems like it's going to be a little while. Now, this right here is moonflower, vining moonflower. It's wrapping around this stake. I had this in here for the purpose of covering the melons to try and help the younger melon plants do okay with the bug pressure. And now that they're doing well, like the squash, I don't really need a cover on these. However, the moonflower did decide to climb around that. So I'm gonna just wind it around this trellis, which was my intention. And hopefully I can find some other pieces of it. I'll wind that too, and it can grow up here. This right here is anise hyssop, mixed for a lovely tea. I do primarily grow this for the purpose of making tea. It tastes to me like licorice. I'm not a big licorice fan, so I'm not gonna be eating licorice candies or anything of that nature, but it does have a mild licorice flavor that isn't terribly offensive in teas. It's very good for coughs and illness. I use the leaves because they are tender. You can cut this back again and again and again, and it just keeps growing. So I'm gonna harvest the heck out of it, and it'll just come right back. Once we are done with the other landscaping project that we're doing, I will probably have a designated area for teas and herbs. I like my spaces to be separated by what is perennial and what is what I call the turnover garden. And it would be really great to not have all of my herbs in with the turnover section. I am trying to be, oh, see, I just snipped that a little bit because this is the moonflower right here, but that's okay. So when I get inside, I will remove the leaves from the stems just because they're a little bit on the tougher side. And we will dry these for making tea. I was going to put this in a bag, but I'm seeing now that this is way too much to put in a bag. So I will bunch this together in a moment. Okay. All right, so that's a lot. If we come around here, this is the cucumber section. This is going to need to be encouraged to trellis a little bit more this week, but right here we've got Garden Sweet hybrid cucumbers. This is my first year that I've harvested peppers before I've harvested cucumbers. It's just funny how the seasons change and little things like that happen. Oh my gosh, look how much pollen is on that bee. Gosh, he looks heavy. He's like, I don't even know how to deal with all of this. So we have lots of blooms on our cucumbers, but no fruit yet. So I'm just watching it, anticipating. These are, in through here, these are bait alpha cucumbers, which are some of my favorites. For example, that one right there. There's a little guy. Obviously more grass. I'm going to be continuing with the grass for the rest of my life. But yeah, so coming out here and trellising these cucumbers up, definitely on my to-do list. And then these are cucamelons. Love cucamelons. They make super awesome, cute, adorable little pickles. Now on this side, this is the trellis that has the blue lake pole beans. These are potatoes. These potatoes look a little worse for the wear. I'm actually going to dig these up. This was a volunteer potato. It came up. You can see a bunch of little sprouts right there. So I'm just going to take it. And then this is ragweed, which likes to invade my garden year after year. So because this was a volunteer, it wasn't planted at the same time as, say, my potatoes that are in this bed, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, I can see some potatoes right here. And even though they're small, I'm going to count it as a win. We're going to need a basket. All of my baskets are getting really worn because I got them all secondhand. So I need to kind of move the lettuce over there. These little ones will make for great smashed potatoes. It's kind of an exciting little harvest I was not expecting. Definitely count that as a win. Pull these up and then I'll dig through this a little bit. But you see, these are still roots right here, so if a few of these get left in the ground, they'll form more potatoes, which is why I have a tendency to have a lot of volunteer potatoes, because I don't take the time to really dig them out the way a lot of people do. I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, look at that. That's awesome. Some people really go to town when they dig their potatoes out, and that's just not. I'll dig in it a little bit, but I'm not gonna overly concern myself with it. And I'll leave those little roots in there. This is grass. Oh my gosh, it's like a collection of eggs. Look at that. Huh. That's exciting. This is mustard green. All this fluffy stuff that's in the way right now that you can't really see. Mustard greens can be a little bit on the spicy side. They're very pungent. So most of the time, at least for us, we'll go ahead and we'll juice them, which is really intense, but it has a lot of really good gut benefits for you. So we'll take it as a really spicy mustard juice shot, which, let me tell you, it'll burn your stomach. Or we'll use it as green leaves on our crudité platters that I was talking about. They're great for that too. And then, or you can put a little bit on a sandwich if you like them spicier. Some people will use them as a collard green substitute. I don't love that as much. We have done it in the past, but I don't love it. But I also let these go to seed. There's several different mustard green plants in here because I let them grow to seed, and I'll grind it down into a little bit of mustard powder to put up into our spice cabinet, because we have an entire enormous spice cabinet. As I mentioned, I love to cook, and being able to have our own ground up mustard powder is great. Typically, they don't produce enough seeds that I can make a whole lot of mustard. I can make a very small little bit with it, but mostly it's mustard powder. And if I let these mustard plants go to seed, I can collect the seeds and I can do that. And then oftentimes it'll self-seed throughout the bed, and then it just comes back year after year. Now these are more of our cucumbers. This is a dark green serpent melon, which, you know, is technically, botanically speaking, a melon, but it is grown as a cucumber because it is very not sweet. It tastes almost identical to a cucumber. So the plants get quite large. So you want to harvest them when they are small in a cucumber-like stage, ideally. They're great for somebody who may have a cucumber allergy. There's a flowering mustard right there. And then these are Tokyo green cucumbers. This is another favorite of mine just because they are not really ever bitter, which I appreciate very much. I don't like a bitter cucumber. No, thank you. These are Haramadu melons. Growing along the trellis, they do need to be supported. Got to get it some clipping, tie it up. And then a lot of these in through here, these are Prescott Fond Blanc melons. This is a volunteer Cosmo. Nope, that's volunteer carrot. I misspoke. It's flowering right now. So this week I definitely need to get in here and weed. Now if we work our way backwards, this right here is that flowering mustard that we were talking about. And you can see all of these different flowers. These are all going to produce seeds. So there will be a lot of seeds that are produced from this one mustard plant. So having a few in there is definitely great for having mustard powder. This is a carrot that has gone to seed. So we get these really beautiful carrot flowers that then transition to this more dried out lacy pattern, and eventually we'll get some nice seeds, be able to save our carrots from that. Then down here we do have some Charleston gray watermelons. Here's another carrot flower that has gone to seed. This makes a really lovely filler. As you can see, it just would add that nice pop of white. So we'll probably harvest that in just 1 second so we can take a few of these into the house, because one single carrot that flowers like this can produce a massive amount of seeds. All right, that's probably good for right now. So this next arch trellis that you have right here, this has Blauhill beans on it, which is a great bean for dried white beans. It's really lovely, very creamy, very good. And then in here, this is a volunteer ground cherry. I had ground cherries in the garden once that I planted down in this next bed over here. And every year they just kind of volunteer. And then there are Blauhill beans on this trellis. You can see they've already gotten quite tall and are now going to need some assistance with not just flapping in the breeze. So that'll be another project that we'll do. These are potatoes. This was the first batch of potatoes that got planted in pretty early, and we were having a good bit of struggles when it comes to the, they're not stink bugs, they are the leaf-footed bugs. They were definitely causing a lot of grief and mayhem over here with these. But there's some cute little potatoes in there. Now at this stage, since they're kind of starting to poke out, I'm gonna need to put some soil on here on top of these so that way they aren't exposed to sunlight, because green potatoes are toxic. So you definitely want to cover these. And I do have some dirt and some mulch and stuff to cover these with. I'm not trying to harvest these potatoes, they just keep coming out. But yeah, so I'll set these down here. Now, when they start to yellow and die back, that's really the time where I'm going to start harvesting them. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference between bug damage and the plant being like, I'm done, but I would want it to be a bit more yellow than this, with more blackening on the leaves. You can see it's starting to get to that point a little bit. So we're just going to keep an eye on these and see how they do. But yeah, right here, I need to get some dirt on these. So as I'm editing this video, I will be making a to-do list for myself of the things that I need to get done. Look at those. Blauhill beans really starting to take off and do really well. We planted these potatoes in here not too long ago. They're starting to come up. This was our second batch. And then all through here, these are all rudbeckias, different types of rudbeckias. Lots and lots of ground cherries. I'm really surprised at how many there are in this bed. This is a volunteer melon. I did not plant this melon in here. But when you grow in any space for an extended period of time and you turn your beds over, you're bound to have volunteers. So these are Gloriosa daisies right here. And these are, I can't remember all the names off the top of my head, but these are other types of rudbeckias. We'll harvest a few of these. This is a Cherokee Sunset rudbeckia. You can see from the bronzing on the leaves, it looks really lovely. More of them in through here. I really love this. That looks really nice. And then the grass has just gone banana pants. So we'll harvest some of these right here. And then this right here was our cilantro that bolted, went to seed. And then we are having coriander right here. So these are great. We'll have to do an herb video in the near future. And this right here is a potato that is going to go to flower. Really cool. Do not eat any berries that those potatoes form. They will be toxic. Like most flowers, not every flower, but a lot of them, Gloriosa daisies are great as cut and come again. So rudbeckias are great as a cut and come again flower. And it actually will help the plant to bush out and become stronger if you harvest the blooms, especially if you harvest them low. I like to put bouquets in all the kids' rooms when I have an opportunity. Now, I do think at this point we will probably need a different vase. That's going to have to happen. But yeah, I think it'll be nice to take these inside and make little bouquets for all the kids' rooms. I do like to find stems that are thicker. You don't want them to just kind of flap over and be done. They're all flimsy and little. And obviously it would be nice if these grew straight, but I'm not a professional flower grower. I'm just me. And then right here, this is my loofah trellis. So every year we grow loofahs. I despise the way that sponges smell when they get all mildewy, and we can grow loofahs as a replacement for sponges in the shower, in the kitchen. They're excellent. So I love loofahs. I talk about growing them every year, and typically I'll do a video on checking them and cleaning them and all that good stuff, but loofahs are really easy to grow. They like a lot of heat, they like a lot of humidity, so they do really, really well here. We typically grow enough that it's not a problem ever really having to buy sponges, and we can even give them away sometimes as gifts and things like that. So they're excellent. I love loofahs. Loofahs are a great natural replacement that you can grow to replace something that you would use in your kitchen. I highly recommend them. Like I mentioned, we did intend for this bed right here to be peanuts, or I intended for it to be peanuts, but because of all the construction that we have going on where we would typically do our corn, we can't. So Seth came through and put corn in here, and it just started sprouting. This is pokeweed. And these tomatoes need to be tied up so badly, so I'm gonna have to do that ASAP. Now, I don't want to step on the corn, but I would like to get these carrots out of here. Because at this point, with all the heat, the carrots are trying to go to seed, which for some of these, that'll be fine, but I don't need all of these carrots to go to flower. I'd rather harvest them. See, we're getting some splitting on them too. This is another ground cherry volunteer. We're gonna leave it because the ground cherry should do fine at the base of the corn because the corn gets really tall. We're just gonna let it kind of go as an experiment. We'll see how it does. We're definitely gonna want to tie up those tomatoes so they're not causing any problem. It's a nice little bushel of carrots right there. Now, I seem to have this fun habit this year where wherever the plants are growing really well, the opposite side is not. So there was blauhill beans planted on this side as well. I guess there are a couple right here. They're just not on the trellis, so they may need a little bit of help getting there with all the other plants that we have in here. But these are blauhill beans, just like the other ones, the opposite side. So at least these ones are on there, so that's good. And then there are different types of watermelons in here. We've got Orange Glow watermelons, and we have Clay County watermelons as well. This is tall plume celosia. It's not very tall, but that's okay. And then this is our one artichoke in the garden. Most of the artichokes are as edible landscaping around the property. This guy's been hanging out here for a while, so I'm just going to leave him at this point, and he can claim this space, and I will work around him. These are more carrots in through here, so I'm going to want to check these because these are getting really tall. And as I was saying, yeah, that's really lovely. Zoom out so you can see this a little bit better. Oh, don't do that to me, you hateful cow. I can see it. It's a really large carrot, so I win. When carrots get really big like this, the push down and the pull up method does not work nearly as well. This is basil, lime basil. This is passion fruit. But at the base of this bed, this is all basil, all in through here. So we're gonna harvest the heck out of the basil because I let it go to seed in this bed, and it's just littered with basil, which is great. I don't mind. After we pull the carrots, we're gonna have to pull the majority of the carrots today, I think. It's just getting too hot for them. So yes, definitely would like to come through and harvest a whole bunch of this basil. It is lime basil, which is one of my favorites, which has a wonderful smell like fruity pebbles. So this basil is excellent in tea. It is so good. We also really like it in lemonade. It's very fruity, it's very sweet, it's very fragrant. It's wonderful in sweeter dishes like that. So we're gonna harvest a ton of this for tea. And then we're just gonna cut this off at the base, and then it will just continue to regrow until the melons in this bed kind of take over. And who knows, even then it might grow through it. I think one big mesh bag full of basil ought to do the trick. Here you can see more of that tall plume celosia. This is really pretty. I'll probably harvest some of this and take it inside too. Now, all this in through here, tall plume celosia, all of these flowers are edible, and they not only dye your tea to make a really lovely coloring in them, but they also do really, really well as edible food sprinkles. I mean, look at how beautiful those are. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to harvest some of these. I'm going to watch out for Mr. B there for both tea and making our edible sprinkles. What's really nice is you can cut these and then they will grow right back for you. Now, I don't need much of the greens, but that's something I can deal with when we get inside. I think that's probably good. So again, I'm going to harvest these really low at the base, and as hard as it is, I'm going to remove a lot of these extra blooms, especially because these side ones have a tendency to be very unsturdy, and you definitely want sturdier blooms when you're making bouquets. You don't want them to just kind of flop and sag over. That is not ideal. Like, those ones are just not. No bueno. These red ones down here are really pretty. I'll probably have to de-green these a little bit more. I haven't seen one quite like that before. I don't need passion fruit growing in this bed because we have a lot growing already all over the place. And then this is that hybrid melon that we are working on keeping as long as we can. It was so good. This was a cross-pollination that we had, and it was just outstanding. So I'd love to stabilize it if possible. And then if we come around to this side, this is the opposite side of the Lofah trellis right here. And there's some, I think they call them Cinderella zinnias. They're dwarf zinnias, so they don't get super tall. More passion fruit. I just planted in a bunch more peppers. So these are tortoisierdos right here. This is a red acre cabbage. I'm letting it go to seed because I really like the look of red acre cabbages in landscaping. So I want some seeds, and then that'll free up a lot more room for the peppers that are down there. And that is a Paris Island lettuce that is bolting and going to seed. All in through here we have peas. We're going to need to harvest these, and then the tomatoes at the bottom, these are solar flare tomatoes down here, and these will really start to take off once the peas are out of the way, which shouldn't be too much longer. You can see we've got some good fruit right there. I'll tie this up so it doesn't break, but yeah, really nice tomatoes in there. The peas aren't going to be able to withstand this heat for much longer, and they do seem to be growing quite well with the tomatoes, minus the fact they need some attention. And then got some more lettuce that is bolting and going to seed. This is purple opal basil right here. This trellis has our passion fruit on it. So this side is the passion fruit, and this side has our perennial Malabar red spinach. So maypop can be quite invasive passion fruit. It just takes everything over to the point of fault. Good survivalist food. Not great for your garden though, because it does grow with rhizomes in the ground, so it just spreads and takes over everything. It's quite hostile in that way. Now over here, these are purple burgundy bush beans. We've been harvesting quite a bit of the beans lately, which has been awesome. We were just out here the other day harvesting them. There's probably a few in here that need to be harvested again. And then we've got lots of different peppers in the back. That cabbage is going to need to go. Like, these are Lesia sweet peppers. This right here is volunteer toothache plant. This is a really wonderful herb, as you can guess, remedying toothaches because it has this numbing property to it. When you chew it, it like tingles and goes numb. So the girls like to grow it with me, and then if somebody comes to the house, they're like, hey, try this. It's super funny. You can see the peas on the backside. Those definitely have to be harvested. And then we have some Cubanelle peppers in through here. And some Sargia giant chocolate peppers. And what are you? Monster yellows. And some Wonder Bells. So there's a good mix in there. I actually might leave these a little bit longer because these are peas that will fill out the pod. These are not my snow peas, at least these ones right here. You can see this is drying up really well. We'll take any ones that seem to have a decent amount in here, but the rest I will leave to get bigger. Oh, or I'll throw them. Apparently I do that too. So this is a fully ripe pea right here. Ripe. Or pea that's like done. Look at this. That's amazing. So, a little tough. Very crunchy. So you know what? I'm probably going to leave these and let them do that. Because why not? Tomatoes. So this right here is blue borage. Blue borage is wonderful as an edible flower. So that's what we're going to use that for, is our edible flower sprinkles. And then there's a little section right here of cucamelons coming in. Those volunteered on their own. Oh, look at this. I just saw these. Those are some golden wax bush beans. We'll have to harvest those in just a second. This is my unknown row of tomatoes. So each year, no matter how hard I try, I end up with a section of tomatoes that I just don't know what they are. And we're just going to have to wait to see what these are. You can see some really nice fruits in here though. And then these are rudbeckia flowers. I am going to want to tie these up though really quickly so that way I don't have any issues with the plants getting damaged and falling over. So lots of different tomatoes in through here. It'll be fun to see what all occurs with all of these tomatoes, being that they're a bunch of different types. I'm excited. I'm ready for some tomatoes. And then if we come around to the other side over here, we've got more beans. Most of these are Blue Lake bush beans. And then there are some different peppers in through here. This is a Sargia chocolate. And then, yeah, there's lots of beans in here. I'm really excited. Yay! I'll need to harvest some beans again in a second. That'll be one of the last things I think I'll do, is harvest the beans, just because it is going to be a little bit more intensive. So I'll want to get through as much of this as I can, and then we'll harvest the beans. I think that's a good plan. Now over here on this arch trellis, these have sweet peas on them. Sweet peas, while incredibly beautiful and fragrant, they are toxic to people and pets. So the cats just won't leave them alone. So I've been enjoying them outside. I was hoping to have them as indoor flowers that I could enjoy, but they're now outdoor flowers. This right here is oregano. Oregano to me is pizza. I can't help it. I'm partially Italian and that's what I think of. We're going to harvest more of this oregano though, because oregano tea, very, very medicinal. Now people have really caught on to the benefits of oregano, and they have started having oil of oregano as something that you can take to help with sickness. So we make oregano tea, or pizza tea as the kids call it, and that's really, really, really good for sickness. And then down and through here, this is a volunteer banana melon, and we've got some carrots we're going to check on the other side. Swiss chard keeps coming back year after year. Some Venezuelan tiger peppers. And then these are our solar flare tomatoes. This is a small cherry size tomato. Looks like somebody's been enjoying them. That's funny. These look quite large for a cherry tomato. I'm excited. Once they start turning a golden yellow, then we'll be able to harvest them. Cherry tomatoes typically are some of the first ones that you're able to harvest. So I'm quite ready. So all of these, all sun gold tomatoes in through here. And then onions. I just took that one because, well, I felt like it. So these are American leeks that I've just never gotten around to separating. This is a weed, carpet weed. I don't know if that's actually its name, but it's, to me, that's what it is, because it just creates this carpet. And we've got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of carrots in here. So these are banana peppers. We harvested banana peppers earlier this week. I will add a clip into here so you guys can see that. these carrots are getting a decent amount of shade in here, so I think some of them may be doing okay. And then this little batch right here, these are ponca peppers. You can see what I mean by flowering carrots right there. And then in through here, we have some guajillo peppers. Some little baby peppers right there. Bad grass. Let's see more of them in through there. They look really nice. Really good. Really excited. I'm gonna take these to our little harvesting section up in the front. All right, over and through here, we've got Megatron jalapenos. Harvested some jalapenos. I can see a couple down there. These are some of my favorites, the sugar rush peach pepper. I love these. I'm so excited. And then these are Vicente sweet habaneros. Over here, we've got some Abe Lincoln tomatoes. They've definitely been struggling, fighting with grass. Like you can see down here, the grass is really challenging the roots. Like, look at this. Like, that's a huge thing of grass. Like, that's a massive root system. And the Abe Lincoln tomatoes are like, really, jerk? Really? Go over there, please. So it's going to be even more upset now that I disturbed its roots, but hopefully it bounces back. Yeah, Abe Lincoln tomatoes that are not doing so hot. This is another squash plant down here. These are red warty pumpkins. All in through here. They look really good. I am going to have to kind of redirect these red warty pumpkins because they need to grow more on the ground and less in the bed. This right here is American Beautyberry. Let's look at some of these Megatrons. These are so awesome. Megatrons are my favorite jalapeno because of how enormous they get. I was messing with the tomatoes on a bit of a break just a second, so I do have tomato tar on my hands. So these are Megatrons. They're producing quite well. My kind of rule of thumb is if they're big enough that they're not too big a pain in the butt to chop up, I'll take them until the plants get larger. And when the plants get larger, I'll let them grow to their more maximal size. I do feel like this is early for the time of year to be harvesting jalapenos. Not that I would ever complain about that. So excited to have peppers in the house again. Now all along here, these are blue cream tomatoes. And then down this way, we've got some yellow pears. Again, I've been slacking with the watering, so there's a lot of damage, a lot of crispiness on these plants. I will do better about that starting this week. These were yellow pear tomatoes, and they just kind of got choked out by the squash, which is fine. We don't need an entire row of sun golds, have a trellis of blue creams, and then we may have one surviving, oh my gosh, I see a giant zucchini in there. We may have one surviving yellow pear tomato, and that's going to be more than enough. Look at this. Yay, zucchini! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest these. I saw this meme being passed around that was like, watch out for your cars, your neighbors are going to be putting zucchinis in them or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. But it was basically some gag about how gardeners grow so much zucchini that they start giving it away to everybody. And over here, it's kind of like you got to take it when you can get it because the bugs will get it. And so I'm just like, yes, zucchini, yay. I'm so pumped. Oh my gosh, that breeze feels so good. There's nothing like a nice breeze in the humid south. I told Seth the other day when I came inside from working that every time you get this nice breeze going, when it's been really hot, all I can think about is God's giving you a little hug, a little moment of relief, a little moment of peace. So every time the wind blows, when it's really hot and I'm sweating, all I can think about is the Lord. Like that's all I think about. I'm like, okay, thank you for the breeze. Because it's just this little moment of comfort, this little moment of relief in this really hot, humid climate. So all I can think about is the Lord when that happens. So like right now, it just started blowing more of a breeze, and I feel like it's him being like, I hear you. Zucchini. I was a little worried about how much we would get because we got so much last year using 2 spaces. It's a field of bees in here. So this is a golden yellow zucchini. I'm excited to see the pollinators are back. Because I was not seeing a lot of bumbles out, and they have started clearing out all of the property behind us. Now we do have 3 acres this way, but we don't have bees. It was all forest, and they've started clearing it out for property development behind us, and I've been so worried that it's going to affect our pollinator count. So I'm happy to see the bees are coming back. Oh, there's a great one. So this is kind of on the smaller side. It's definitely on the smaller side because the flesh hasn't even toughened up yet, but this is a little gray zucchini. I just didn't want to leave it and then miss the opportunity and forget about it. This is a nice little patch of zinnias right here, and if you can see this guy on my zinnia, I don't know if you can. I'm going to try to zoom in before I'm done with him right there. There's the Japanese beetle. They're terrible, rotten creatures. I might leave these flowers. I don't know if I am going to take those. We'll leave those ones possibly, and then I'll get those ones next week. So at this point, with all of the different plants in here, it'll be easier for me to tell you what they are while we're harvesting them as things are ready. So over here, this is a yellow crookneck squash. It's a smaller one, but I will take it. Sometimes it's hard deciding whether it should stay or whether it should go. Should I stay or should I go now? Oh, look at this. Oh man, I left this one a little bit long. This is a Black Beauty, and you can see it started to get a little bit big. Ah, there's a Cocoselle. And there's actually a lot more Cocoselles in here. So I need to keep an eye on these because I don't want them to get too big and not be able to use them. That would be sad. But that is a Cocoselle. Here's another one. Oh, and a stink bug is on it. That's not going to work for me at all. Goodbye, stink bug. Hello, Cocoselle. Ah, and another one. It's like Christmas. Christmas of zucchini. Yay. Hello, Christmas zucchini. What a fabulous start to the day. Yes. I'm so happy. That is just a basket of squash and zucchini. I'm stoked. Now if we come past the zucchini section, this is where I have my unknown peppers at, where I lost the labels or misplaced them or whatever it is. You can see they're wilting. They definitely need water. A bad plant mom. These look like guajillos right here. I could be wrong, but they look like guajillos. This honestly looks like a capilla sweet pepper. I just don't want to risk it and have it be something else, you know? I don't want to end up giving one of my babies something that I shouldn't. This is a cayenne. So all these look really nice. I'm going to put those in there just in case. I was just walking past here with the intention of kind of moving stuff up to the front because we've completed the first 2 rows. And I forgot about the garlic. So this garlic is done. It's time to take it. So you'll notice it even with my dress, I always have boots on. I say always, but then every so often I will run to the garden like a small child, and when that happens, I'll have flip-flops on. Now hopefully, oh, it broke. Hopefully I can find all the garlic, given that some of it's going to kind of be buried by the squash because this bed it had a bunch of garlic in it, but then, you know, we rebuilt the bed, lost some of it. Please come out. Ugh. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna need a basket for the garlic. And then I will move us down to the front half of the garden. This basket is falling apart, so I put some leaves over the hole. Wow, that was awesome. Must have appreciated the shade. Now, one thing I really haven't done is mess with the strawberries too much because I wanted them to just put out runners and sometimes I'm not the best waterer, and when I didn't water the first set of strawberries I put in, they died. So I haven't really expected much to happen. Oh, cute. My kids will fight over that strawberry to the death. So this right here is flowering catmint. I've talked about how much I love this as a tea that has a mild sedative in it. So for cats, it's gonna make them super crazy and all excited, but for people, it has a very calming, very sedative property to it. So we're gonna harvest this for tea. And again, this is just one of those herbs where you hack it down and it grows back. I think we've harvested this like 4 times already this season. It's definitely resilient. It does not yield. The bees really like it when it's in bloom, but the bees have a lot in the garden right now, so I'm not that worried about this particular section. Plus, it'll just come back and back and back. The birds like to make a nest in the grapevine, and look at this. I don't want to scare them. Look at the babies. Yeah. I don't want to stress out Mama either. I'm going to leave him alone, but I wanted to show you because how exciting is that? This bed has the remainder of our brassicas in it. We've got some onions, purple onions in through here. They're growing. Hopefully they're doing well. And then we've got some Detroit red beets and Nance carrots. Carrots still look rather small. If they're getting enough shade, I won't worry about harvesting them. Mostly it's about the other ones. Those are some snowball cauliflowers. Most of this is about done. I'm about ready for it to come out. It's all just taking up a bunch of space, and I could put something else in here. So definitely about time for this to get turned over. You can see my bad, neglectful garden behavior. Everything needs to be watered. So these peas are also about done. You can see they're drying out at the bottom. They're getting crispy. It's too hot for peas. So honestly, at this point, I'll probably just let the bulk of these go to seed so I can save them for next year. Like that one's nice and fat and bushy. And then at the base, this is green leafy lettuce that is going to seed. I'll probably let a couple of the plants do that. And then I will cut the rest down this week and replant in here. I might do another row of tomatoes in here, propagate them, put them in here. Now this bed has a bunch of different flowers. It is netted because we have dahlias in here. These are radishes that are going to seed. And then there are some gladiolus bulbs in here as well. All these are dahlias. The majority of these dahlias I grew from seed over the last couple of years. There may be a handful that weren't. Look at these. Isn't this beautiful? We're going to harvest these. I really love dahlias. They're my favorite flower just because they come in such a big variety and they're just lovely. So they look really good. This is this is cilantro, and then those are blackjack dahlias. Those are some of my favorites. We harvested the heck out of the chamomile this week because I did end up getting one of those chamomile harvesting tools. It works so well. It's definitely worth it. That is a multicolored gladiolus right there. So I want to harvest these. See this right here? This is a leaf-footed bug attacking my dahlia plants, which I am not cool with. Shameful. This is a gazania flower. It looked really cool when it first opened up, and now it's going to seed. You can see little seeds that are starting in there. I'm going to leave it. Those are really pretty. I really enjoyed having those in the garden. And then we've got, all of these are Juliet tomatoes. And then we've got onions planted in front of the Juliet tomatoes. You see, if I don't start watering the garden more regularly, I'm not going to get fruit. Shame on me when I know better to have neglected the watering of the garden. Shame, shame. Now right in through here, this is calendula. This is very medicinal, very good for your skin, and quite edible. So we're going to harvest these flowers, and we are going to use these in our flower sprinkles. Oftentimes I will let these go to flower and save the flowers for making soap as well. Here on this side we have Grantiero tomatoes, and then this is popolo, which is an herb that's very similar to cilantro. Down here at the bottom we've got marjoram and dill that has started to flower. I'm going to harvest the dill so that way we don't miss out on that, but dill doesn't love heat either. And more of the Grantiero tomatoes. This vine that's climbing up here, this is hyacinth vine. This should be really lovely on the trellis really soon. And then we did a bit of a mix up, and this is a blue cream tomato right here. Now on through here we've got bush beans. These look really, really good. So we're going to harvest the beans, and then we've got some volunteer zinnias. Back in through here we've got some Venezuelan tiger peppers. They are some of my absolute favorites. I love them. Gotta get these tomatoes over here where they belong. So definitely need to harvest some beans. I'm going to turn the water on in the garden in just a moment, actually. While I'm harvesting the beans, I'll water. These are some Granix onions. Those are looking really good. And then got some pimento peppers. These peppers are really going to take off once these beans get out of their way. These are some Gatherer's Gold peppers right here. These look awesome. This is an elephant ear pepper. Now over here, this is the trellis that has the Malabar red spinach. It is perennial, and then this is more calendula in the front. Okay, I clearly just walked through a spider web. Don't like that. No, no, no. These are Capia Sweet paprika peppers. They are awesome for making paprika. They're a very sweet, lovely pepper. This right here is Marvel of Four Seasons Butterbib. I will harvest that just because it's hidden down there at the bottom. So, our Capias. Harvested a ton of these with the kids earlier this week, so I will go ahead and put that in the video for you. This is a Marlowe red lettuce. I did start some more lettuce seeds. A whole harvest of, no, I did a whole order of lettuce that is supposed to be more heat tolerant, and so we're going to plant it in the shaded areas, and we're going to see how it does this year. That's on my list. And our Capia sweet peppers, they pretty much take up this whole section in through here, like this half of it, and then we do have some Spanish mammoth peppers down on this side, whereas a lot of these on the opposite are tortosierdos. So this bed is kind of like my paprika bed in a lot of ways. And then we do have some blue lake beans on the other side. So these are Spanish mammoth. Some volunteer carrots in here. Those are huge. I was not anticipating that. That was quite a surprise. Oh, shame. For shame. Ow. Wood chip splinters. That's just terrible. I'm running out of room. It's terrible. I'm gonna need to go grab another vase, I think. This trellis right here has, this right here is parsley, and then this is firecracker vine. It's called firecracker vine, and it needs to go over here because it will make a very lovely trellis if it does what it is supposed to. Which I know is hard given the fact that there's parsley all over the place, making your job much more difficult. But yes, so firecracker vine, parsley. These are all dahlias that we started from seed this year. And then this is Clarkia flower. I don't know what any of these are going to look like, so I'm pretty excited. Those are pretty. Oh, crispy dahlia. Oh, that would have been pretty. I think these are getting some bug damage out here. I'm going to harvest the ones that I can that look really lovely. Those are nice. Yeah, definitely bugs eating the dahlias, which I do not appreciate. But they also make the pollinators happy, so it's a give and take. These are tall deluxe snapdragons right here, and then these are northern light snapdragons. So you can see a big difference in the diameter of the flowers in the tall deluxes versus the northern lights. So I think I'll probably stick to the tall deluxes in the future. These are poppies, and these are onions. Try to check the base and see how they're doing. Starting to get a little bit of a bulb. I don't know if you can see them or not, but little one down there, which is nice. These are African daisies right here, and then I'm not sure what those are. We'll have to come back to that. This is white horehound. White horehound is very good for coughs and illnesses. And then we've got some flowering basil. This is tarragon, which is a great medicinal herb. This is flowering sage. Gosh, there are so many sage seeds in here. It's wild, but I'm going to harvest as many of these tops as I can. Sage flowers taste surprisingly outstanding, so we'll harvest these and take these inside for our edible flowers. And then these are pixie lupins. Aren't these adorable? Really loving the pixie lupins. Those are super cute. This right here is honeywort, and then we have some more dahlias right there. Poor dahlias being abused by the bugs. Poor dahlias. Now over here is yarrow. Yarrow is both edible and medicinal, so we'll be taking the yarrow for our flowers, our edible flower sprinkles. These are Chinese asters. These look really pretty. Maybe we'll take some of those in for flowers. These are more rudbeckias. There's a honeybee. Do you see how small he is? He's so tiny. That's my first honeybee that I've seen. It's a little guy. I wasn't even sure it was a bee until I saw his striped little tush. Poor Mr. Bee. These are the hollyhocks. These are being ransacked by the bugs. More of our blanket flower. More blanket flower. Those are pretty. What is this? What did I plant here? Oh, this is balloon flower. It took me a second. You see it like balloons up and then voila. So that's exciting. Then we have asparagus. We come around to the other side. These are bachelor's buttons, and this is echinacea. Echinacea is very medicinal, and these also make for quite lovely flower sprinkles too, so we can take some of those. This is purple top verbanium. This right here is flowering celery. We have some Shasta daisies. Look at all these seeds. Just craziness. So these look really nice. And there you have it. So down here, these are some of my more, I guess I'm going to say I intend to landscape with these ones a little bit more, but this is chocolate mint, which is one of our favorite teas. It's so good. So I told everybody I would harvest this one for sure when we came out. And then next to it right here, this is strawberry mint, which to me tastes like a strawberry mojito. It's just fabulous. And these are some of my favorite. I really like mint teas. I'm a big mint tea fan. So I like to have more variety than this, but some of my landscaping stuff didn't survive the construction process. So I will be redoing it in the very near future. And the more you harvest it, the more it's going to take it as a personal challenge to come back. So at this stage, I harvest it. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. This is the strawberry mint right here. It just smells ridiculous. It's really lovely. All right, so there are those. These are my perennial beds, so these get used a lot in landscaping, or they will in the near future when I can actually landscape with them, which I am looking forward to. Okay, that's decent for this side. Our little basket is getting a little too full, I think. We need another one. All right, you guys, that is going to wrap up this week's garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye, y'all.